Hi, welcome to the Mastering Filters with Photoshop CC course. My name is Pradeep Mamgai and I'll be leading you through this course. I'm an author, educator and consultant specializing in CGI, and I'm the founder of Pedaxi Academy. This course explains the tools and techniques available in Photoshop to create textures, background designs and effects using filters. By the end of the course, you will be able to create design and effects, seamless textures and textures for your 3D model texturing workflow. You would be also able to sharpen images using sharpening filters. Before beginning this course, you should be familiar with basics of Photoshop. I hope you will join me on this journey to learn about filters with this course. I'll see you inside. In this clip, I'm going to show you how to create this stripe design using the difference clouds, patchwork and motion blur filters. So first thing we need to do is we need to create a new document. So I'll go ahead and create a new document, and then we need to set the foreground and the background colors. So for the foreground, use this code 995800, and for the background use DCAB4C. Now we need to apply the difference clouds filters. So go down to the filter, render difference clouds, and this is the output the filter is generating using these two colors. Next filter we are going to apply is a patchwork. So for that, go to filter gallery, and under texture select patchwork. Set square size, the squares we are seeing here, to 5 and relief to 25. Okay. So the way the patchwork filter works is it breaks the image into squares, as you can see here, and these squares are filled with the predominant color in that area of the image. Also, it randomly reduces or increases the tile depth to make highlights and shadows, and you can control that effect by using this relief parameter. Okay, so set it to its maximum value 25, square size to 5, and click OK. Press Ctrl 1 to view the document at 100% zoom level. Now to get this design, we need to apply motion blur filter to it. Okay, so go down to filter, blur, motion blur, set angle to 0 and distance to 2000 pixels. You can change angle value here to get this kind of output, which is not what we are looking for. So we'll set angle to 0, distance to 2000 and click OK. So this is how you can create some cool looking stripes designs using difference clouds, patchwork and motion blur filters. In this clip, we are going to create this abstract design using the trace contour, motion blur and twirl filters. So let's go ahead and create a new document. Set foreground color to 00 AEEF and fill this color using Alt backspace keys. Unlock the background layer and apply set in layer style. For color, use this code 08698E and click OK. Set opacity to 50 or 55, angle to 75 and distance and size to maximum values 250. For contour, select this option here and click OK. Now we need to duplicate this layer by pressing Ctrl J and then right mouse button click and choose rasterize layer style. The next filter we need to apply is trace contour. So go to filter, stylize, trace contour and set value to 128. Okay, and make sure the edge is set to upper. So the way the trace contour filter works is it creates a contour map like effect. It finds transitions between the major brightness areas and then outlines those areas for each color channel. Now click OK. Now to create this this blur effect, what we are seeing here, we need to apply the motion blur filter. So go ahead, go to filter, blur and motion blur. Set angle to -40 and distance to 23. Okay, next we need to blend these two layers, so we'll go ahead and select the divide blending mode like so. Now to give a little bit of more variation to these lines, we'll apply the twirl filters, and the twirl filters rotates the selection. If you specify an angle, it produces a twirl pattern. Okay, so go to filter, stylize, distort and twirl, and set angle to 51. Click OK. Press Ctrl 1 to view the output at 100% zoom level. So this is how we can use these filters to create this kind of abstract design. In this clip, I'm going to show you how to create this design that looks like a digital circuit board using the trace contour, water paper, and half-tone pattern filters. So let's go ahead and create a new document. Press D to set background and foreground colors to their default values, and then go to before we apply any filter, let's convert this layer for smart filters. Now go to filter, noise, add noise, set amount to 20, distribution to Gaussian, and make sure that monochromatic checkbox is selected, and then click OK. Next filter we're going to apply is half-tone pattern. So for that we have to go to filter gallery, and then under sketch select half-tone pattern, and here set size to 2 and contrast to 4, and make sure that pattern type is dot. So this is the output we are getting. Now we need to apply the water paper filter as well, so go ahead and create a new layer here, new effect layer, select water paper, and for this set fiber length to 45, brightness to 76, and contrast to 71, and click OK. Okay, now we need to apply trace contour filter now. So go to filter, stylize, trace contour, and here we can set the level as 156 or 155. Edge is upper, and then click OK. Now press Ctrl A to select all the data, and then choose edit. Let me zoom out. Ctrl A, edit, copy merged, and then edit, paste. So now we have baked the filters into this layer. Now create a new layer and place it under layer 1. Set foreground color to be 8404 and click OK. Also change the blending mode for layer 1 to screen. Okay. And we need to fill this color here in this layer 2, so Alt backspace. Alt backspace, and now press Ctrl 1. Now the output we are getting here is a green color on the white background, but we want it other way around. So what we'll do, we'll select the layer 1 here and press Ctrl I to invert the selection. Okay, so this is the final output. In this clip, I'm going to show you how to create this line art design using the trace contour, emboss, and motion blur filters. So here I have got crumple paper.psd. Go ahead and open it. And the first filter we're going to apply is emboss. So choose filter, stylize, emboss. Set angle to -13, height to 100, and amount to 500. Okay. So the stylized filter, the emboss filter makes an image raised or stamped. It converts fill color of the image to gray and then traces the edges with the original fill color. And if you want to retain the color detailing, use the fade command after applying the emboss filter. Okay, so go ahead and click OK. Now we need to apply motion blur to this output. So go ahead, go to filter, blur, motion blur, set angle to 90, distance to 2000. Okay, now we'll twirl this output. So go to filter, distort, twirl, and set angle to 93. Click OK. Now we need to apply the trace contour filter. Filter, stylize, trace contour, and set the level to about 132. Okay, click OK. Now select the magic wand tool and make a selection like this. Create a new layer and fill it with the black color. You can fill it with any color because now we are going to apply the gradient overlay layer style. And the first color we are using is 077 BDE, and for the second knob here the color code is CFECFD. Okay, click OK, and this is our final output. In this clip, I'm going to show you how to create this effect using the calculations command and the lens flare, wave, and emboss filters. So let's get started. So I have got this nebula picture here. You can use any deep space image for this effect. So first thing we need to do is go to image and calculations. So the calculations command allows you to blend two individual channels from one or more source images. You can apply results to a new image, a new selection, or selection in the active image. If you are using two source images, then make sure that the images must have the same pixel dimensions. So here I want to blend the blue channel with the red channel, and blending mode I want to set overlay, and make sure that the result is set to new channel, and then click OK. So it will create a new channel here, alpha 1. So go ahead and press Ctrl A to select all channel data, press Ctrl C, switch to RGB, and then press Ctrl V. So now we have the channel data in this. Now to colorize this output, what we need to do is we need to create a new layer. We need to place it under the layer 1, and then we need to select the gradient fill tool. But before that, we'll set the colors here for background and foreground. So for foreground, we're going to select this color 8F2C00, and for background we're going to select this color B93904 is the code. Click OK. Now select the gradient fill tool and fill this color. So now we have this color here. Go ahead and select layer 1 and change mode to linear light. Okay, next we need to apply the lens flare filter. So go to filter, render, lens flare. Make sure that the first option is selected here. Change brightness to 158 and place the hotspot somewhere here. Okay, and press OK. The lens flare filter it allows you to simulate the refraction caused by shining a bright light into the camera lens. So it's a very cool filter, and you can use it to create artistic effects like we will be creating in this clip. Okay, so next filter we need to apply is the wave filter. So filter, distort, wave, and this filter produces a ripple like effect. Okay, so change number of generators to 1, wavelength minimum to 1, maximum to 133, amplitude 1, and maximum amplitude 79. Now go ahead and click OK. So we're getting the output here like this. Now we need to duplicate this layer. So select layer 1, press Ctrl J to duplicate, and now apply the emboss filter. So filter, stylize, emboss. And here we want to set angle to 135, height to 3, and amount to 100. Okay, so this is how you can use any deep space image to create a cool looking design. In this clip, I'm going to show you how to create this metallic design using the lens flare, chrome, wave, and polar coordinates filter. So let's go ahead and create a new document. Create a new layer, fill it with black, create another layer and fill it with black as well. Now go to filter, render, lens flare. Make sure movie prime option is selected and brightness is set to 193. Adjust the hotspot if required and click OK. Now press Ctrl J, edit, transform, flip horizontal, and set mode to screen here, the blending mode. Now merge top two layers, select them and press Ctrl E. Go to filter, distort, and wave. Number of generators 38, wavelength minimum and maximum 36 and 287, and amplitude 1 and 21, and make sure that repeat edge pixels radio button is selected in undefined areas section here, and then click OK. Now we need to apply polar coordinates filter. So go to distort, polar coordinates. Make sure the rectangular to polar attribute is selected here and click OK. Now we need to apply the chrome filter. For that we need to go to filter, filter gallery, and then under sketch we have chrome. Set detailing to 5 and just adjust this zoom level here. So detailing 5 and smoothness to 7, and just go ahead and click OK. All right, press Ctrl 1. So we are getting this nice shine on this design here. Now let's apply curve adjustment, image adjustment curves, and just brighten the output here, and then apply image adjustments, hue and saturation. Check the colorize checkbox here, and then set hue to 217 and saturation to 26. Click OK. So this is the final output we have got, and this pattern will depend upon the settings you have in the wave dialog box. Okay. In this clip, I'm going to show you how to create this design using the chrome, plaster, clouds, and wave filters. So let's go ahead and create a new document. Press D to switch to the default background and foreground colors, and then unlock the background layer. Now we need to go to filter, render, and clouds. So this is the output we are getting. Now we need to apply the chrome filter. So go to filter, filter gallery, and then under sketch we have chrome. Set detailing to 0 and smoothness to 10 and click OK. But we need to apply now the plaster filter. So we'll create a new layer here and apply the plaster filter, and for this we will set image balance to 20 and smoothness to 2. Make sure the light is set to top and then click OK. Now we need to apply the wave filter. So filter distort wave, and here number of generators 5, wavelength minimum and maximum to 10 and 120, and change amplitude to 5 and 35. Make sure repeat H pixels is selected here and then click OK. Now duplicate this layer by pressing Ctrl J and again apply the wave filter. This time click randomize couple of times and then click OK, and then change the blending mode to lighten. Alright, now we need to colorize it. For that we have the color balance command, adjustment color balance, and enter color levels as 38, 58 and 90 to give it this light blue color. So this is how we can use the chrome, plaster and wave filters to create this unique cool looking design. In this clip I'm going to show you how to create this design using the chrome, wave and extrude filters. So I have got this deep space image taken by Hubble telescope. So first thing we need to do is unlock the background layer and then apply the chrome filter. So we'll go to filter gallery, and under sketch we have chrome. Set detailing to 0 and smoothness to 10 and click OK. Now we need to create 2 copies of this layer. So Ctrl J twice, select the middle one, go to filter, distort and wave, accept default settings here and click OK. Set blending mode for this layer to lighten. Now select the top layer, again go to filter, distort and wave, hit randomize couple of times and then click OK, and set blending mode for this layer to screen. Alright, so we have this output here. We need to select all 3 layers here and then press Ctrl E to merge them, and then go to filter, stylize and extrude. Now accept the default settings here. You can play with these to get different results. So change your values as per your requirement and then click OK. So this is the final result. In this clip I'm going to show you how to create this design using fibers, plaster, trail, sprayed strokes, radial blur and sketch filters. So first we need to create a new document. Press D to switch to the default background and foreground colors. Now go to filter, render, clouds, fibers, and change variance to 16 and strength to 4. Click OK. Now we need to apply plaster filter. For that we need to go to filter gallery. Then under sketch we have plaster. Now change image balance to 34 and smoothness to 5. Create a new layer, and under brush strokes we have sprayed strokes. Select this filter here, and then for stroke length change value to 20, spray radius 25, and make sure stroke direction as a right diagonal. Click OK. Now we need to apply radial blur filter. So for that, go to filter, blur, radial blur, change amount to 100, select zoom as blur method and best as quality, and then click OK. So now Photoshop will go ahead and apply this filter. Okay, now we need to create two copies of the background layer. So Control J and Control J. So we have now two copies, and change blending mode to lighten for this layer as well as for the topmost layer. Now select layer 1, go to filter, distort and twirl. Use a value of 158 and click OK. Now select the top layer and again go to filter, distort, twirl, and this time use a negative value of -158. Okay, so we have this pattern here now. Select layer 1, press Ctrl U for hue and saturation window and set hue to 22, 29 and 0. Click colorize. Now select the top layer, again press Ctrl U, click colorize and change values as 27, 50 and 0. Alright, now you can go ahead and apply auto contrast command on this layer. For that you need to go to image, auto contrast, or you can press Alt Shift Control L. Also select this top layer and apply same command, auto contrast. So this is our final output. In this clip, we are going to create a marble texture using filters and image adjustment commands. So let's go ahead and create a new document. Unlock the background layer and press D to switch to the default foreground and background colors. The first filter we need to apply is difference clouds. So go to filter, render, difference clouds, and this is the output we are getting here. This filter randomly generates values between the foreground and background colors to create a cloud pattern. So the first time you apply this filter, a cloud pattern is created by Photoshop. As you can see here, if you apply this repeatedly, the ribs and veins are created that resembles a marble texture. So let's go ahead and reapply this filter. For that you can go down to filter and select first entry here, or press Ctrl Alt F. Okay, so repeatedly press Alt Ctrl F until you get the basic marble texture you are looking for. Okay, and then press Ctrl 1 to see the output at 100% zoom level. Next filter we need to apply is the average filter. It averages color of an image or selection and then fill the image or selection with that color. It helps in creating smooth looking textures. So for that we need to create duplicate of this layer 0. So make sure it is selected and press Ctrl J. Let's rename it to layer 1. Now go to filter, blur, average to average the colors, and then place it under layer 0. Select layer 0 here and then set mode to linear light and opacity to 50%. Alright. The next filter we'll apply is the high pass filter, which allows you to retain the edge details in the specified radius where sharp color transitions occurs in the image, and then it suppresses the rest of the image. Okay, this filter, the high pass filter, produces the opposite effect that of the Gaussian blur filter. So make sure the layer 0 is selected here, then go to filter, other, high pass, and then set radius to about 120 and click OK. Alright, Next we need to apply the shadows and highlights command. So go to image, adjustment, shadows and highlights. In the shadows section here, set amount to 100 and make sure that highlight is set to 0. Okay, click OK. Now we will apply the color balance command, and for color labels we'll use these values 58, 88 and 53, so we get this green looking texture. And then press Ctrl E to merge two layers and apply exposure command. For exposure use value of 0.65 and for offset minus 0.0244. Click OK. Alright, so this is the marble texture we created using filters. In this clip we will create a doormat texture using the noise, Gaussian blur and wind filters. You can use the same technique to create various types of fabrics and special effects. So first thing we need to do is create a new document. Then we need to fill it with 50% gray color. So go to edit fill or press shift F5, then choose 50% gray from the contents drop down and click OK. Now the first filter we'll apply is the add noise filter. For that go to filter, noise, add noise. This filter applies random pixels to an image. You can use this filter in a variety of ways, from reducing banding from the feathered selections or give realistic looks to the heavily retouched areas, from making a texture realistic to creating special effects. It provides two options for noise distribution, as you can see here, uniform and Gaussian. The uniform method creates a subtle effect, whereas the Gaussian method produces a speckled effect. And you can use this monochromatic checkbox if you just want to affect the tonal values, leaving the color unchanged. If you uncheck this, you will be affecting the color values, so we don't want that. So make sure that monochromatic is selected here, then set amount to 27 and click OK. Alright, so this is the output we are getting here. The next filter we need to apply is Gaussian blur. So go to filter, blur, Gaussian blur, set radius to 1 and then click OK. Alright, now to create the effect of that doormat texture, we need to apply the wind filter. For that go to filter, stylize wind. Here we have three options: wind, blast and stagger. The stagger is more dramatic than the other two methods here, okay, for the output we are looking for. So let's go ahead and select stagger and from choose direction as from the left and click OK. Alright, now unlock the background layer and let's colorize this output using the color overlay style. So we'll select color overlay, and for color we'll use this code here, 964605, blend mode to overlay and opacity to 60%. Okay, next we need to add text to it. So activate the horizontal type tool here and write welcome. Scale the text. Alright, now to apply styling to it, we need to set fill to 0. And the first effect we want to apply on it is drop shadow. Alright, color black, blend mode hard mix. Let's reset it so that you can change the values from the default values. Let's say reset to default. So we need to change the blend mode to hard mix. opacity to 25%, angle 90, and distance 3, spread 42, and change size to 16. Alright, next effect we want to apply is stroke, and for stroke the size is 3, position is outsize, and opacity around 55, and blend mode overlay. Okay, so this is our final output with texture and text. In this clip, we are going to create a green military camouflage texture using texturizer and half-tone pattern filters. So let's go ahead and create a new document. Go to Edit, Fill, select Color from Contents drop-down, and then use code 394F25. Click OK. Alright, now we need to apply texturizer filter to it. So go to Filter Gallery. Under Texture, we have Texturizer. Select Sandstone from the Texture drop-down and change scaling to 143, relief to 2, and the direction of light to top left. You can use these options to change the angle of the light to get different results here, but in this case we are using top left. Click OK. Alright, now unlock the layer, create a copy by pressing Ctrl J, and rename the layer as layer 1. Okay, now we need to apply the water paper filter to this layer. So go to Filter, Filter Gallery, and under Sketch we have water paper. Set fiber length to 28 and brightness to 70. Click OK. Now change blending mode to linear light and opacity to 24%. Okay. Now select layer 0, press Ctrl J, rename it as layer 2, and place it at the top of the stack like so. Now we need to apply half-tone pattern. So go to Filter Gallery again. Under Sketch we have half-tone pattern. For the size, 1 is fine. Change contrast to 1, and for pattern type change it to line. Okay, let's click OK. Now merge layer 1 and layer 0 by pressing Ctrl E. Duplicate this layer because we want to break this pattern, so we will create another layer. So make sure layer 2 is selected, press Ctrl J, rename it as layer 3. Okay, now press Ctrl T and rotate it, and also scale it so that it covers the whole area here. Right, now we need to apply Gaussian blur filter using radius of 1 pixel. Change mode to linear light and opacity to 24%. And for layer 2, change mode to soft light. Okay, now we'll merge the data. So for that we can use copy merged. So Ctrl A to select all pixels, edit copy merged, and then Ctrl V. So now we have everything baked into the layer 4. So now we need to create a new layer here and fill it with 50% gray. For that, go to Edit Fill and choose color as 50% gray, and make sure the default colors are set to black and white here, and then go to filter, render, and difference clouds. Now repeat the filter okay, so you get the pattern you are looking for, and then use equalize command. Go to layer, go to image adjustments, equalize, and the next command we're going to use is threshold, image adjustments and threshold, and adjust the threshold slider to set the pattern you are after, and then click OK. Okay, so what threshold command does is that it converts the images to high contrast black and white images. All pixels lighter than the threshold value are converted to white, whereas all pixels darker are converted to black. Now what we need to do is we need to lower the opacity. So we'll lower the opacity to 18% and choose mode as overlay. So this is our camouflage texture, and let's apply one more filter to it. Go to filter gallery, and you can see we have very sharp edges here around the pattern. So we'll use the Sumi E filter under brush stroke, and the values we are going to use is stroke width to 7, stroke pressure to 2, and contrast to 22. Click OK. So this is our final camouflage texture. You can go ahead and increase the opacity if you want to. Okay. All right. In this clip, we will create a leather texture using the stained glass and texturizer filters. So let's get started. Create a new document. All right, and then press D to switch to default background and foreground colors. Now go to filter gallery, and then under texture select stained glass. Set cell size to 5, change border thickness to 4, and light intensity to 2, and click OK. So this is our displacement map. So go ahead and save it as displacemap.psd. Now we need to create a new document again and fill it with color code 9D7A51. Okay, and the filter we need to apply now is texturizer. So under texture we have texturizer. For texture select sandstone, and for scaling set a value of 60 and relief 2, and click OK. Now we need to apply another layer of texturizer filter, but this time we will use the displace map PSD that we just saved. So go ahead and click on this icon here, then select load texture, and then select the displacement map.psd. So now we are getting that displacement here. Set scaling to 100 and relief to 4. This relief parameter controls the effect of shadows and highlights here. So change it to 4 and light to top left. Okay, and then click OK. So this is our leather texture. Now we'll adjust levels. Press Ctrl L to open the levels command, and opens the levels dialog box, and then we'll adjust the range here to adjust the levels. Okay, so this is our final leather texture. In this clip, I'm going to show you how to create lattice wire mesh texture using the texturizer filter. So let's go ahead and create a new document. Unlock the background layer. Press D to switch to default background and foreground layers. And now the first filter we need to apply is stained glass. For that, I'll go ahead and go to filter, filter gallery. Now I'll select stained glass under texture. For change cell size to 10, thickness to 4, and light intensity to 3. Click OK. Now choose the magic wand tool here and select the black part of the image. Now press Ctrl Shift I to invert the selection and press delete to delete the white area of the image. Press Ctrl D to clear the selection. And now we need to apply layer styles to this layer. So first layer style we are going to apply is bevel and emboss. Okay, so style inner bevel, technique smooth, change depth to 42, direction to down, size to 1. Here angle 120 degrees, gloss contours, choose this option here. And for highlight mode, change opacity to 84. And for shadows mode, change opacity to 89. Next style we are going to apply is inner glow. So I'll go ahead and select it and just reset to default. Blend mode screen, change opacity to 94. And for color, use this code 8D. Click OK. And now I'll set size to 5. The next layer style we are going to apply is drop shadow. And change here in the drop shadow area, change distance to 2 as well as size to 2. Okay, now click OK. All right, now duplicate this layer by pressing Ctrl J. Go to edit, transform, flip horizontal. So we have now a different kind of pattern here. Press Ctrl J again to create one more copy, and then using the arrow keys and move tool, just offset the layer to create the mesh wire texture. In this clip, I'm going to show you how to create the brushed metal texture using the texturizer, motion blur, and add noise filters. So let's go ahead and create a new document. Press D to switch to the default background and foreground colors. Fill the background layer with 50% gray. And then we need to go to filter, noise, add noise, set amount to 10, distribution to Gaussian, and click OK. Now the next filter we need to apply is motion blur. So I'll go ahead and go to filter, blur, motion blur, set angle to 0 and distance to 2000, and click OK. Now this will act as a displacement map for our texture. So we need to save it as PSD. So go ahead and go to save as and save it as metal displace.psd. Create a new document. Again, fill it with 50% gray. Go to filter, noise, add noise, set amount to 2, and click OK. Next filter we need to apply is texturizer. So for that, go to filter, filter gallery, and under texture we have texturizer. Click on this icon here, click load texture and load metal displacement map. Set scaling to 100, relief to 13, and light to top left. Click OK. Now we'll apply the gradient overlay style to make this texture shiny and reflective. So unlock the layer here and apply gradient overlay layer style. Change mode to overlay, gradient to foreground to background, and then reverse it. And for style, choose reflected, angle to 0, and scale to approx 70, and then reduce the opacity to about 26%. So we have got this nice reflective brushed material texture now. In this clip, I'm going to show you how to create the sand texture using the clouds, texturizer, and add noise filters. So let's go ahead and create a new document. Press D to switch to the default foreground and background colors, and then choose Filter, Render, Clouds. The next filter we need to apply is Add Noise. So go down to Filter, Noise, Add Noise. Set amount to 5, distribution to Gaussian, and click OK. So this image will act as a displacement map for our sand texture. So let's go ahead and save it. File, save as, and sand displacement. Now go ahead and create a new document. And then set foreground color to C99754 and background color to E6C09B. Okay, now go to Filter, Render Clouds. Next filter we need to apply is Texturizer. So go to Filter Gallery, Texturizer, and from here click on this icon and then choose Sand Displacement File. For scaling, set it to 100, change relief to 29, and light to top left. Click OK. Now we have some basic sand texture here, but now we need to add some variation to this texture. For that we have another image. So go ahead and open crumpled paper.jpg and then apply high pass filter to it. So go to Other, High Pass, and set value to 170 and click OK. Now we need to save it as PSD in order to use it as a displacement map. So go ahead and save it as PSD file, crumpled paper. Now switch back to the document and apply texturizer filter once more, and this time choose crumpled paper. Okay, for scaling use 144, relief 46, and leave light at top left. So now we have some variation to our sand texture. In this clip, I'm going to show you how to create the sand texture using the clouds, texturizer, and add noise filters. So let's go ahead and create a new document. Press D to switch to the default foreground and background colors, and then choose Filter, Render, Clouds. The next filter we need to apply is Add Noise. So go down to Filter, Noise, Add Noise. Set amount to 5, distribution to Gaussian, and click OK. So this image will act as a displacement map for our sand texture. So let's go ahead and save it. File, save as, and sand displacement. Now go ahead and create a new document. And then set foreground color to C99754 and background color to E6C09B. Okay, now go to filter, render clouds. Next filter we need to apply is texturizer. So go to filter gallery, texturizer, and from here click on this icon and then choose sand displacement file. For scaling, set it to 100, change relief to 29 and light to top left. Click OK. Now we have some basic sand texture here, but now we need to add some variation to this texture. For that we have another image. So go ahead and open crumpled paper.jpg and then apply high pass filter to it. So go to other, high pass, and set value to 170 and click OK. Now we need to save it as PSD in order to use it as a displacement map. So go ahead and save it as PSD file, crumpled paper. Now switch back to the document and apply texturizer filter once more, and this time choose crumpled paper. Okay, for scaling use 144, relief 46, and leave light at top left. So now we have some variation to our sand texture. In this clip, we will enhance an image by removing blur from it using the shake reduction filter. The shake reduction filter allows you to reduce blurriness in the image caused by the camera motion. This filter lets you reduce blurring caused by several types of camera motion, such as linear motion, arc shape motion, rotation motion, and zigzag motion. And this filter works best with the directly lit still camera images having a low noise. Okay, so the type of images that are suitable for this filter are the images captured using a lens with a long focal length, or indoor images taken with a slow shutter speed or without flash. Okay, so let's get started with the tutorial. I have this piece of footage here called asset-01.jpg, and then we have this PSD file in which we have applied the shake reduction filter. So you can see the before and after versions here. Let me go to window, arrange to up vertical, and then window, arrange matte zoom. So you can see side by side that here in this footage we have a lot of blur going on here around the eyes, and here we have reduced that using the shake reduction filter. So let me go ahead and close this file. Now to apply the filter, we need to go down to filter and sharpen shake reduction, and we'll get this shake reduction dialog box. So Photoshop automatically analyzes the region best suited for the shake reduction, and it also analyzes the nature of the blur and then applies appropriate correction to the entire image. You can see here that a rectangular marquee region is automatically created. If you can't see this region, the chances are that the advanced panel here is collapsed in your case. So go ahead and twirl it open so that you can see this rectangle. So you can resize this rectangle by dragging the corners of the rectangle, and there is a pin at the center. You can use that to move the entire region here. Okay, if you want to define another region at a different location, you can use this tool here at the top left corner of the dialog box called blur estimation tool. So you can go ahead and just click and drag to create another region. And here in the advanced panel, now we have two blur estimation regions, because we have one was drawn by the Photoshop and one just we created. So you can turn off these by, if you don't want to see the cumulative effect, you can turn off the effect by clicking this checkbox here or deleting it altogether. Alright, so this swatch here is a blur trace swatch, and it represents the shape and extent of the blur that affects the selected region of the image. If you want Photoshop to further fine-tune the image, you can go ahead and add multiple blur traces using this tool here called blur direction tool. So you can define the direction of the blur, and Photoshop will go ahead and add another swatch here. Okay, so let me cancel this out and I'll again apply this filter. Okay, now I'll place the blur estimation region somewhere there, and then here in smoothing section, in the blur trace settings section here, I'll change smoothing to 25 and artifact suppression to 42. Alright, so here we have the detail loop. If you click and hold the mouse button and then release, you can switch between the original version and the corrected version here. And the smoothing and After Effects suppression, what these attributes do is by changing the smoothing value, we have reduced the high frequency sharpening noise from the image, and the artifact suppression option suppresses the noise artifacts that can appear when we sharpen the image. Okay, so it works best with the medium frequency noise. So go ahead and click OK, and now you can see that we have removed quite a bit of blur from this image. So this is how we can use a shake reduction filter to get rid of the blur from the image. In this clip, we will use the unsharp mask filter to sharpen the image. The unsharp mask filter allows you to sharpen an image by increasing contrast along the edges in the image. Note that the filter does not detect edges in the image. Instead, it detects pixels that differ in value from the surrounding pixels. You can control this value using the threshold option that this filter provides. After that, it increases the contrast of the surrounding pixels you specify. In addition, you can specify the radius of the region in which each pixel is compared. So larger the radius you specify, larger will be the effects on edges. Okay, and there are two cautions you need to consider while using this filter. One is, if you specify a larger radius value, then there will be a halo effect around the edges. And second, you can apply this filter to only one layer at a time, even if layers are grouped or linked. Okay, so here I have this piece of footage, asset-02 JPEG, and on the right side I have applied the unsharp mask filter to it, and you can see the difference between the two. This image is much better than on the image at the left of the screen. So let's go ahead and start with the tutorial. What we need to do is we need to go to filter and then sharpen and unsharp mask. So you can press and hold the left mouse button to see the original version, and when you will release the mouse button, you can see the corrected version. So here change radius to 6 pixels. You can see the difference here. So the radius value defines the number of pixels surrounding the edge pixels that affect the sharpening. This value varies as per the subject in the image, size of the final image you will save, and the output method used. Okay, for a high resolution images, a value of 1 or 2 is generally recommended. Okay, let's change amount to 100. Okay, the amount value defines how much to increase the contrast of the pixels. For high resolution images, a value between 150% and 200% is generally recommended, and then change threshold to 0. The threshold value defines how different the sharpened pixels must be from the surrounding area before they are considered edge pixels and sharpened by the filter. For example, a value of 3 affects all pixels that have tonal values that differ by a value of 3 or more, and that too on a scale of 0 to 255. The default value 0 sharpens all pixels. So you can use this threshold value to define how different the sharpened pixels must be from the surrounding area. Now go ahead and click OK. So this is our final image. This is how you can use unsharp mask filter to sharpen images. In this clip, we will use the high pass filter to enhance the appearance of the image. The high pass filter allows you to retain the edge details where the sharp transitions occur and suppresses the rest of the image. This filter creates an effect opposite to that of the Gaussian blur filter. It is useful in extracting the line art and large black and white areas from an image. So here we have a footage called asset-01.jpg, and on the right side we have the sharpened image. So this filter is straightforward. It has only one setting called radius. So first we need to convert it to smart object, because later on we want to blend the effect with the original layer. So right mouse click here in the layers panel and choose convert to smart object, and then go to filter, other, high pass, and here you can change the value of the radius parameter. So for this image I'll set it as 2 and click OK. Now to blend this effect with the original image we have, you need to double click here on this icon. Then it will open up this blending options dialog box. Go ahead and change mode to overlay. Okay, and then change percentage to 77%. So this was the benefit to convert the layer into smart the layer for smart filters, because now we can always go back and change blending options or opacity. We can also change the radius value if we want to. For that we have to double click here where the name of the effect appears in the layers panel. So in this case high pass, just double click on it and then you can change the radius value from here. So this is how we can use a high pass filter to enhance appearance of the image. In this clip we will use the maximum filter to adjust the mask in the image. The maximum and minimum filters are useful for modifying the masks. The maximum filter spreads the white areas and erodes the black areas, whereas the minimum filter shrinks the white areas and spread out the black areas. So here we have this file mask start.psd, and we have two layers here. Layer 0 contains a t-shirt in blue color, and then we have a hue and saturation adjustment layer that is changing color of the t-shirt to brown using a mask. To see the mask, you can alt click on this swatch here, and alt click again to switch back to the color version here in the work area. If you zoom in on this image around the edges, you will notice that some blue haloing is going on there. So let's fix that using the maximum filter. So in order to use the maximum filter, make sure that you select the swatch here and then go to filter and other, maximum. So here we have this radius value that you can use to control the area that mask covers. So right now I want to change it to 3, and I want to set preserve to roundness, and this roundness option favors the roundness instead of squareness as we expand or shrink the mask using the radius option. Okay, so let's go ahead and click OK, and notice that now we don't have that haloing around the edges of the t-shirt here. So this is how we can use the maximum filter to control the mask in an image.